I just broke up with my girlfriend. And sitting in my wife's car, I don't dare show a hint of emotion. I don't even dare to let out a sob. Back then, I was too afraid to tell my parents about my love life. Now I'm too afraid to tell my wife. My entire existence is defined by regret. Although Suchin and I are technically married, we only truly act the part when our parents have their annual birthday celebrations, which are the only times she'll actually come home for dinner. Today is my mother's birthday. When Suchin arrived to pick me up, I had just finished a heated, unpleasant argument on the phone. But the moment I saw her, I buried my emotions and climbed into the passenger seat, knowing we were heading to see my mother today. I knew Mom would worry if things looked tense between us, so I initiated conversation several times, trying desperately to break the ice. But Suchin either acted like she was stone deaf or gave me the most half-hearted, dismissive responses. Eventually, my patience ran dry and I just shut my mouth. Truth be told, before getting in the car, Lingwan told me over the phone that she wanted to break up, leaving my mood in absolute tatters. Now facing Suchin's icy, arrogant attitude, my frustration only intensified. Several times the emotions surged, nearly forcing a sob out loud. But I fought it back with everything I had. When a stray tear finally escaped and rolled down my cheek, I could only turn my head away and wipe it off in secret. As I was drying my eyes against the reflection of the window, Sukin's phone suddenly erupted with a ringtone. It was her side piece calling. Sukin didn't even bother to hide it. She hit the speakerphone right in front of my face. Her boyfriend's wailing voice filled the car, oozing with a sickeningly affected fragility. "Sister Chin, where are you?" It hurt so much, Suchin's grip on the steering wheel tightened, and her tone shifted instantly, betraying a rare sense of frantic panic. "What happened?" Jessie let out a pathetic whimper. "I was peeling an apple and accidentally sliced my hand. There's so much blood. Sister Chin, can you come see me? I'm all alone and scared." I stared coldly at the road ahead. He cut his finger peeling an apple. Such a pathetic, superficial nick. A wound that barely warrants a tiny band-aid. And he has the audacity to wail like his world is ending. Zukin suddenly slammed on the brakes, jerking the car to the curb. She turned to me with a freezing glare. "Get out." I slowly turned my head, staring at her exquisite yet utterly frostbitten features. "Sukin, today is my mother's milestone 60th birthday. Our family and friends are all at the hotel waiting for you. And you're kicking me out now Jesse is injured. I have to go to him immediately." Sukin's tone left absolutely no room for negotiation. Laced with a sharp, palpable impatience. He just nicked his finger. He's not going to die. But if you, the daughter-in-law, fail to show up at my mother's diamond jubilee, it's not just me, the entire Su family will be humiliated. I desperately fought to suppress the rising fire in my chest. Sukin let out a mocking, jagged sneer, her eyes overflowing with pure, unadulterated contempt. "Don't you dare use the Su family's reputation to pressure me. Guyen, have you completely forgotten how you once groveled like a pathetic dog, just to beg your way into our family as a live-in husband for your mother's little birthday? Having my assistant drop off a fruit basket is already an immense act of charity. Don't you start thinking you actually matter. Now get out, don't make me repeat myself a third time." She clicked the central lock open, staring into the depths of her visceral disgust. I suddenly realized that my years of silent endurance had been nothing more than a tragic cosmic joke. For the sake of the bigger picture, I had hidden my true self and dulled my edge, playing the role of a spineless loser for 3 long years. Yet all I received in return was her reckless, brutal trampling. I took a sharp, steadying breath. Refusing to waste even a single word more, I pushed the door open and stepped out into the cold. The second the door clicked shut, Sukin floored the accelerator without a backward glance. The Porsche shot forward like a lethal arrow, soaking me from head to toe in filthy, stagnant puddle water. I stood stranded by the roadside, pulling out my phone to hail a ride to the hotel. But before I could even open the app, the screen suddenly flashed bright. It was a call from my younger sister, Gu Xiaonuan. The very instant I picked up, Xiaonuan's voice, thick with frantic sobs, pierced through my eardrums. "Brother, get to Central Hospital right now. Mom collapsed." My blood turned to ice in an instant. I gripped the phone with white-knuckled fury. "What happened? Isn't Mom supposed to be at the hotel?" Xiaonuan was hyperventilating, struggling to speak. It was Suchin's assistant. That man stormed into the hotel, and in front of every single relative he threw down a pathetic fruit basket and said, "You're nothing but a dog kept by the Su family. That Suchin can't even be bothered to look at you, let alone waste her time on such a low-class party." Mom heard it all, couldn't catch her breath, and just crumpled to the floor. "She's in the emergency room right now. Sukin Yo can mock me and degrade me all you want, but you crossed a line you can never come back from. When you targeted my mother, rage obliterated my reason. I'm on my way." I slammed the phone shut, bolting into the middle of the street to hijack a taxi. "Quick, get me to Central Hospital." Half an hour later, I sprinted into the emergency lobby of Central Hospital. Outside the operating theater at the end of the hall, Xiaonuan was huddled on the floor, trembling uncontrollably. The moment she saw me, she threw herself into my arms, wailing in despair. "Brother, is Mom going to make it?" I rubbed her back with a heavy hand, forcing myself to maintain a facade of calm. Just as I was about to find the lead surgeon for an update, the in-surgery light finally flickered off. The doctor emerged, pulling down his mask with a weary sigh. The patient suffered a sudden acute myocardial infarction. Fortunately, she was brought in just in time. The immediate danger to her life has passed. However, she must be moved to the VIP suites upstairs immediately. She requires absolute peace, zero stress or excitement. Hearing those words that she was out of danger, the agonizing tension in my chest finally snapped. I felt like I was about to collapse from sheer exhaustion. The nurses wheeled my mother toward the elevators. After settling Xiao Nuan in the room to watch over her, I stepped out into the quiet corridor, heading to the terrace at the end of the hall to light a cigarette. The night breeze carried a chilling bite, saturated with the hospital's sterile scent of disinfectant. I stared at the flickering cherry of my cigarette, my mind replaying 3 years of relentless humiliation, and the image of Su Qin's cold retreating back today. It's finally time to put an end to this farce. Suddenly, the rhythmic click of high heels, echoing against the marble floor, broke the silence. Sharp, crisp, and commanding. I didn't bother to turn around. Not until a familiar, elegant fragrance filled my senses. A warm, bespoke black high-fashion blazer was gently draped over my trembling shoulders. Guyen, you've played the spineless loser for 3 years. Haven't you had enough of this act? The voice was cool and melodic, yet it carried a trace of gritted teeth indignation. I crushed the cigarette and slowly turned around, met by a face so stunning it could topple empires. Ling Wan, the sole heiress to the elite top-tier Ling family, a queen who controlled the lifeblood of global capital, and my secret girlfriend of 3 years. She stood there in a floor-length black velvet gown, her hair swept up in a sophisticated bun, exuding an aura of high-class elegance and lethal grace. In this very moment, her deep, piercing eyes were locked onto mine, overflowing with heartache and raw resentment. "Why are you here?" I asked in a raspy voice if I hadn't shown up. "Were you planning to let those Su family morons torture you until you breathe your last?" Ling Wan stepped forward, forcing me to meet her gaze. "I've already looked into what happened to your mother. That assistant I just had, his leg snapped before throwing him out of the city like trash. She had always been a force of nature, swift, ruthless, and absolutely decisive." "Thanks," I muttered under my breath. Ling Wan's eyes suddenly welled with tears. She grabbed my shirt collar with a fierce grip, forcing me to look directly into her soul. "Guan Yu did this to repay a debt of gratitude, sacrificing everything to save the Gu family's legacy, choosing to hide your identity and marry into the Su family. But look at how Su Qin has treated you for 3 years. Did she ever treat you like a human being? Today, she nearly drove your mother to her grave. Are you really going to keep enduring this hell?" I looked into her beautiful, fury-filled face as a wave of raw bitterness washed over my soul. When I brought up breaking up over the phone, I wasn't just throwing a temper tantrum. Ling Wan released my collar and took a half step back, her tone hardening into something absolute and final. "The man who belongs to me, Ling Wan, was born to stand atop the clouds and be worshipped by the world. I refuse to watch you continue to act like a stray dog, groveling at the feet of people who aren't worthy. Gu Yin, either divorce Su Qin this instant and stand by my side in the light for everyone to see, or we'll never cross paths again for the rest of our lives." Her words hit the floor with a heavy, resounding force, echoing through the desolate, empty corridor. I gazed into her stubborn, shimmering eyes, feeling her entire frame trembling from the sheer intensity. This high and dry queen, a woman who ruled over all, had willingly humbled herself for my sake, enduring 3 long years as my secret hidden lover. I owed her far more than I could ever repay. I slowly reached out my hand, gently tucking a stray lock of hair behind her ear, as my gaze sharpened into a cold, lethal resolve. "I'm divorcing her." Ling Wan froze for a heartbeat, stunned, before a brilliant, blinding light erupted in her eyes. She lunged into my arms, embracing me with a crushing grip, her voice cracking with emotion. "You said it. There's no taking it back now." "I won't ever take it back." I gently patted her shoulder. "Let's go. I'll see you home first thing tomorrow morning. I'll have my lawyer deliver the divorce papers directly to the Su Group's headquarters." We walked out of the hospital lobby side by side, the night air thick and heavy around us. A black Rolls-Royce Phantom, boasting a prestigious custom-numbered license plate, sat waiting silently at the foot of the stairs. The driver bowed respectfully as he opened the rear door. Just as I was about to step inside, Ling Wan suddenly caught my arm. She stood on her tiptoes, her movements natural and intimate as she straightened the slightly crumpled collar of my dress shirt. Her fingertips lightly brushed against my Adam's apple. And at that exact moment, just outside the emergency room entrance nearby, a violent screech of tires tore through the air as Su Qin's fiery red Porsche roared into the lot, swerving aggressively into a parking space. The door swung open with a bang, and Su Qin scrambled out in her stilettos, frantically supporting a supposedly injured ZAC, whose hand was merely sporting a tiny band-aid. "Doctor!" she shrieked, stumbling out. "Someone get a doctor out here now." "He's bleeding!" Su Qin screamed at the top of her lungs. She scanned the entrance as she shouted, her head snapping toward the stairs. only for her voice to die in her throat the very next second. Her gaze darted past the row of ambulances, locking onto the base of the stairs with visceral intensity. She saw the multi-million-dollar Rolls-Royce Phantom, and she saw me standing right by the open door, framed by a woman of such ethereal grace that she made Suchin look like a commoner by comparison. Intimately adjusting my collar with a tender touch, the golden halo of the streetlights washed over Lingwan and me, stabbing into Suchin's eyes like a physical blade. She froze like a statue on the pavement before a toxic cocktail of shock, disbelief, and the burning rage of perceived betrayal instantly contorted her elegant features into a mask of fury. She violently shoved Ziezi's hand away and charged toward us with murderous intent. Guyan Suchin lunged at the Rolls-Royce, slamming her palm onto the hood with a resounding thud, her eyes blazing with fire as she glared at me. Her voice reached a shrill pitch nearly piercing the night sky. "You better explain yourself right this second. Who the hell is this woman?" I met her gaze with icy indifference, staring at the face that was now twisted and ugly with rage. Not a single ripple of emotion stirred in my heart before I could even part my lips to speak. Lingwan, standing beside me, let out a soft mocking laugh. She swept a condescending glance over Suchin, her eyes treating her like nothing more than roadside trash. "That's a custom-made Rolls-Royce Phantom hood. That little tantrum of yours just racked up a repair bill of roughly 800,000. Lingwan's tone was lazy and bored. She tilted her head toward the guards behind her. "Take note. Send the invoice to the SU group first thing tomorrow." Two hulking suit-clad bodyguards stepped forward instantly, looming like twin iron towers in Suchin's path, forcing her back 2 steps with their sheer presence. Sukin recoiled, visibly shaken by the bodyguard's raw power. Her expression flickered and contorted before she pointed an accusatory finger at me. "Guyan Ishogicho. You've really grown some spine, haven't you? Hiring some rich lady with a supercar to act out a scene just to spite me?" She gritted her teeth, her eyes overflowing with mocking derision. "You think a stunt like this will make me cave? Don't forget, your mother is still rotting in a hospital bed, surviving solely on the Su family's charity." Sietsu, still clutching his hand, scurried over from a distance, hiding coward-like behind Suchin's back. He piped up in a high-pitched, sarcastic tone. "Brother Yan, oh!" Sister Chin was simply paralyzed with worry for me, which is why she couldn't attend to your mother. Even if you're throwing a tantrum, you shouldn't just find a random woman to disrespect Sister Chin. It's incredibly immature of you. Besides the money you spent renting this luxury car, it probably came straight out of Sister Chin's pockets anyway. I looked at the pair standing before me, feeling a literal surge of nausea. Acting, the corner of my mouth quirked up in a cold smirk. I pulled my smartphone from my pocket and dialed the direct line to Ling Wan's private attorney. "Attorney Wong, I need a set of divorce papers delivered to the entrance of Central Hospital. Immediately." I ended the call. I fixed my calm, dead-eyed gaze on Suchin. "Suchin, it's over. The papers are on their way. I'm leaving. With nothing. I won't touch a single cent of your family's blood money. From this moment forward, our paths diverge forever. We are strangers." Sukin was visibly stunned. She clearly hadn't anticipated such a cold-blooded cutoff. In her twisted worldview, I was nothing but a stray dog leashed to the Su family, a creature that would never willingly abandon its bone. A flicker of genuine panic crossed her eyes, only to be instantly masked by her habitual arrogance. "Fine, Guyan. Don't you dare come crawling back in regret." Sukin pointed a trembling finger right at the bridge of my nose. "Without the Su family, you won't even be able to afford a meal. What respectable company on this planet would hire a pathetic stay-at-home parasite like you? I'll be waiting for the day you're on your knees begging for mercy." Lingwan, bored of the mindless chatter, gave a dismissive wave of her hand. The bodyguards moved in, grabbing Suchin and Sieti like bothersome pests and dragging them several meters away. In less than 10 minutes, a black Mercedes G-Wagon roared to a screeching halt. Attorney Wong, dressed in a sharp suit, hurried out, pulling a crisp document from his leather briefcase, before presenting it respectfully with both hands. I snatched the fountain pen, without a single moment of hesitation, and at the signature line, I scrawled my name in a sharp, sweeping flourish. "Take it." I hurled the agreement at Suchin's feet, opening the Rolls-Royce door without a backward glance. 9 a.m. tomorrow at the Civil Affairs Bureau. If you don't show up, expect a court summons." The door slammed shut, instantly muffling Suchin's shrill, frantic cursing. The Rolls-Royce glided smoothly into the darkness. Inside the cabin, Lingwan pulled a bottle of Romani Conti from the climate-controlled wine fridge, pouring 2 glasses and handing one to me. Her gaze was soft and tender. A total world apart from the ruthless queen she was moments ago. "What's your next move? Do you want me to use the Ling family's influence to blackball the Su group into oblivion?" I took the crystal goblet, gently swirling the blood-red liquid within, as my lips curled into a cold, lethal arc. "No need to dirty your hands. Since the Sus love stepping on others to climb the social ladder, I'll personally ensure they fall from the clouds." I pulled out my portable tablet, accessing a hidden encrypted dark interface. To input a long, Complex string of commands before hitting the enter key. An eye-catching red warning box flashed across the screen. Core authorization revoked. The only reason the Sioux Group could, in just 3 short years, rise to the ranks of the city's top-tier enterprises was entirely due to the Aurora intelligent algorithm I had secretly developed in the shadows. They were under the delusion that this algorithm was purchased at a premium from some overseas tech giant, completely unaware that the true master control had remained in my hands all along. Now it was finally time to reclaim the sword that had been hanging over the Sioux family's heads. 3 days vanished in a heartbeat. During these 72 hours, I remained at Ling Wan's private villa, situated in the elite penthouse of the downtown Fuji apartments. With the intervention of the Ling family's top-tier medical experts, my mother's physical recovery has been remarkably swift. She's already able to leave her bed and walk around. Meanwhile, on the other side of the city, the Sioux Group has descended into absolute chaotic shambles. In the early morning, Suchin sat in her executive office, her face pale with fury as she stared at a desk buried in breach of contract notices. President Su. The entire underlying architecture of the Aurora algorithm has completely paralyzed. The technical director burst into the office drenched in a cold sweat, without even the courtesy of a knock. Every autonomous driving project based on that code, and all smart home initiatives have been forced to a grinding halt. Several major clients have already slapped us with legal letters, demanding liquidated damages totaling over 500 million. How is that even possible? Su Qin bolted upright, slamming the documents ruthlessly into the technical director's face. This system has operated flawlessly for 3 long years. How can it just implode out of nowhere? Get on the phone with the overseas dev team immediately. I don't care about the cost, fix it. We reached out, but they informed us that our authorization codes were forcibly revoked by the master root access holder. The technical director wiped his brow, stealing a terrified, cautious glance at Su Qin. The developers also mentioned that the real name identity of that master access holder is named Guyan. Su Qin felt as if she'd been struck by a bolt of lightning, her legs giving way as she collapsed back into her leather chair. Guyan, impossible. That is absolutely fundamentally impossible. Possible. She shook her head violently, her subconscious screaming in denial, refusing to accept the brutal reality staring her in the face. He's nothing but a worthless, talentless piece of trash. All he's good for is cooking and laundry every single day. How could a loser like him understand top-tier algorithms? He must have stolen the passwords from somewhere. He's doing this on purpose to sabotage me. Su Qin gritted her teeth and snatched up her phone, aggressively dialing Ziezi's number. The phone rang for an eternity before he finally picked up. The airwaves filled with the deafening thumping of club music. Ziezi, didn't you brag about studying computer science at some prestigious university abroad? Get to the office right now and crack this system for me. Su Qin shrieked with desperate urgency. On the other end of the line, Shietsu stuttered and hesitated. Sister Qin, my hand is still throbbing with pain. The doctor said I shouldn't even touch a keyboard. Besides, cracking a system is way too mentally draining. Oh, about that Ferrari I had my eye on earlier. When are you taking me to the dealership to pick it up? Su Qin's entire body shook with a violent tremor of rage. She slammed the end call button with murderous fury. Her company was hanging by a single fraying thread in this hour of dire crisis. The lover she took such pride in was nothing but a gold digger, completely useless when the stakes were real. Meanwhile, the husband she had treated like worthless dirt now held the very lifeblood of the Sioux Group in his palm. Guyan, if you think these pathetic tactics will make me crawl, you're dreaming. Su Qin hammered her fist onto the desk before barking orders to her assistant over the phone. Get me a VIP pass for tonight's Yunnan. Consortium Gullah immediately. If I can just secure that billion-dollar investment to patch our hemorrhaging capital chain, the Su family can still survive this. Night descended upon the city, and the neon lights began to flicker to life. Inside the city's most prestigious 7-star hotel, the air was thick with the scent of luxury and high-stakes social climbing. Su Qin arrived in a breathtakingly expensive, bespoke gown, navigating the crowd with a champagne glass and a humble, desperate smile. The business moguls who once groveled at her feet were now treating her like a leper, avoiding her at all costs. President Zhang, regarding the Su Group's latest venture, do you think we could discuss a seed investment? President Su, what a terrible coincidence. I have a vital meeting to attend to right now. My apologies. Manager Lee, regarding our previous credit line. President Su, let's be real. The news about your system vulnerabilities is spreading like wildfire. Headquarters has already flagged you for high-risk control. My hands are tied after being ruthlessly shut down time and again. Su Qin's face was as pale as a sheet of parchment, her fingers trembling as she gripped her crystal glass. She bit her crimson lip until it almost bled, her eyes fixated on the center of the grand ballroom, the most prominent and prestigious head table. That was the seat of tonight's host, the enigmatic and unpredictable Yunbian Consortium, and the throne of its newly appointed ruler. Rumor had it this new titan commanded tens of billions in capital, executing moves with lethal lightning efficiency. He was the ultimate apex predator that every social climber was desperate to suck up to. If she could only secure his favor, the Su group's massive crisis would vanish like smoke. Sukeen took a deep, steadying breath, meticulously adjusting her appearance one last time. Straightening her spine with borrowed confidence, she gripped her glass and boldly marched toward the head table. No matter the cost, no matter the sacrifice, she absolutely had to lock down this investment. Pushing through the dense, suffocating crowd, she finally reached the prestigious main table. Several Chamber of Commerce presidents, usually so arrogant, whom even her father had to look up to, and various bank governors were currently bowing low, wearing sycophantic smiles as they toasted the man sitting in the seat of power. "Sir, I'll finish this glass in your honor. Please drink at your own leisure." The man was draped in a perfectly tailored, jet black bespoke suit, leaning back slightly against the leather chair, with his long, powerful legs crossed, and his elegant, well-defined fingers carelessly twirling a crystal wine glass. He didn't even bother to lift his head. He radiated a cold, oppressive aura, the unmistakable presence of a true sovereign. Sukeen's heart hammered against her ribs, summoning every ounce of her courage. She flashed what she believed to be her most seductive smile, and spoke in a silky soft tone. "Hello, I am Suchin, president of the Su Group. It is such a profound honor to meet." Her words died in her throat. The man in the seat of honor slowly turned his head, allowing a deep, piercingly cold gaze to crash directly into her wide, trembling eyes. Sukeen's practiced smile instantly froze on her face, her pupils shrinking in sheer, unadulterated shock. The champagne glass slipped from her numb fingers, hitting the floor, with a violent crash shattering into a million jagged shards. The sharp, high-pitched sound of exploding glass echoed with painful clarity through the opulent hall. I sat there in the master seat, indifferently toying with my crystal glass, without even bothering to flicker an eyelid. The surrounding circle of sycophantic business moguls and corporate elites instantly knitted their brows in unison, their faces twisting with visible displeasure. Governor Lee's face darkened as he barked coldly, "President Su, where are your manners? You've startled Mr. Gu. Can you even begin to handle the consequences?" Sukeen's entire frame trembled violently as she stared deathly at my face, desperately hunting through my indifferent expression for even the slightest crack in my mask. But there was nothing, only the chilling apathy of an apex predator, an inviolable majesty that brooked no challenge. Her face drained of all color, and her bloodless lips quivered frantically. "Guyan, how can it be you? Weren't you?" I slightly tilted my head toward my special executive assistant. The assistant immediately stepped forward, looming like an impenetrable wall in front of Suchin. His tone was razor-edged. "President Su, watch your tongue. This is the chief executive officer of the Yunbian Consortium, Mr. Gu Yan. If you continue this hysterical outburst, security will escort you out of this building immediately." Sukeen shook her head in a frenzied denial, her nails digging so deep into her palms that beads of blood began to seep out. The sheer psychological whiplash caused her sanity to crumble. She violently shoved the assistant aside and lunged toward the edge of the head table, her voice a piercing shriek. "Guyan, you set this whole trap from the start, didn't you? You deliberately paralyzed the Su Group's systems. You stole the core technology, just to watch me play the clown today, begging for your mercy right here. What is your ultimate goal?" I set my glass down with clinical precision, plucked a pristine white wet wipe, and began to methodically clean my fingertips, tossing the used wipe onto the table. I met her gaze with a flat, dead stare. "You overrate yourself. Crushing an ant doesn't require a master plan." Chairman Zhang, sensing the shifting atmosphere, bowed cautiously and tested the waters. "Mr. Gu, do you actually know this, President Su?" I lifted the freshly poured cup of Da Hong Pao tea, gently blowing away the rising steam. "Ex-wife, we just finalized the divorce papers. We aren't close." The entire hall erupted into a shocked uproar. The gazes the moguls directed at Suchin shifted instantly from mere avoidance to the chilling awe and pity one reserves for the walking dead. Offending the sovereign of the Yunbian Consortium meant that forget seeking investments. The Su Group's existence in this city was officially a dead end. Sukeen's eyes turned bloodshot, and her tears finally breached the levee of her composure. Confronted by the brutal, unyielding reality, she finally bowed that head she had held so high for 3 years. Her voice cracked with a pathetic, groveling plea. "Guyan, I'm begging you. The Su Group is my father's entire life's work. You can't just stand by and watch it go bankrupt. For the sake of our history over the last 3 years, please help me. If you just restore the system authorization, I'll give you anything you want." History, I let out a sharp, mocking chuckle and snapped my fingers. The massive LED screen behind me instantly flared to life, displaying top-secret documents stamped with official seals, offshore bank statements, and international wire transfer records, with absolute, undeniable clarity for everyone to see. I leaned back against the plush chair, my voice low but carrying the weight of a death sentence. "Over these past 3 years, Jiesu exploited your so-called green energy project, siphoning off, in multiple stages, 230 million in liquid capital from the Su Group, funneling it all into offshore shell companies. That core technology he supposedly brought back for you. It's nothing but discarded garbage code, purchased for a few $100 on the dark web. A deathly silence swallowed the grand hall. Soo-Keen whipped her head toward the screen, her eyes widening to the point of tearing, staring in utter disbelief at the endless rows of transaction logs. She saw the beneficiary Ziezi's real name overseas accounts. No, impossible, her legs gave way, and she collapsed onto the frigid marble floor. How could he betray me like this? He told me that money was being used to break into the overseas venture capital markets. He promised to propose the moment the project went public. I remained indifferent to her mental breakdown. I continued with an icy chill. 3 years ago, the Su family's capital chain completely imploded. You were buried under $3 billion in hidden debt, teetering on the edge of a total bankruptcy liquidation. Your father was even ready to end it all by jumping off a roof. The visuals on the screen shifted once again. A debt settlement agreement from 3 years ago, stamped with the highest level of absolute secrecy, suddenly flickered into view. In the signature line for the guarantor, the name Gu Yan was scrawled with ink that seemed to pierce the page. It was I who, under my own name, signed a 10-year contract of servitude to the Yunbian Consortium, securing $3 billion in venture capital. It was I who, for the sake of your family, filled that bottomless pit of financial ruin. For 3 years, I hid my identity as your live-in husband, enduring your constant disdain and mockery, while using my Aurora algorithm to clear every technical hurdle from the shadows, bringing the dying Su family back to life. I stood up slowly, looking down with pure contempt at Soo-Keen, who lay paralyzed on the floor. Soo-Keen, I was never the Su family supporting me for 3 years. It was me tossing scraps to a pack of beggars, charitably sustaining your pathetic lives for 3 years. Those final words hit like a 10-ton sledgehammer, ruthlessly shattering Soo-Keen's last remaining shred of psychological defense. She looked up at me with a vacant, hollow expression, her tears cascading down like a levee that had finally burst. In her mind, a kaleidoscope of memories from the last 3 years flashed by. She finally understood why every time the Su group faced an insurmountable disaster, they would miraculously manage to survive against all odds. She finally understood why the man she viewed as a talentless loser, the spineless husband who only knew how to cook and clean, was always hunched over his laptop late at night, typing away at complex code she could never comprehend, his eyes constantly bloodshot from sheer exhaustion. And yet she had humiliated him with the most venomous insults, even choosing a lying, manipulative homewrecker over him, trampling his dignity into the dirt, and nearly driving his mother to her death. Regret, like 1,000 ravenous ants, began to frantically gnaw at her heart, the agony making it impossible for her to breathe. She suddenly lunged forward. She lunged forward and gripped my suit trousers with a death grip, wailing as if her very soul were being torn apart. Guyen, I was wrong. I was so wrong. I was blind. I let that animal Ziesi deceive and cloud my judgment. I'm begging you, give me one more chance. Let's remarry, please. I swear I'll love you properly from now on. I'll be your servant, your slave your slave anything. I'll honor and care for your mother like my own. Please don't leave me. I looked down at her with icy eyes, and with a swift kick, I shoved her away. The movement was sharp and clinical, completely devoid of any lingering hesitation. Too late, I straightened the hem of my blazer, turning my back to head toward the exit, delivering my final ruthless ultimatum: go home, Tamo. And tell the Su family to prepare for total bankruptcy liquidation. Flanked by a phalanx of black-clad bodyguards, I strode out of the banquet hall, leaving Soo-Keen's despairing, blood-curdling screams of agony far behind me. Late the following night, a violent storm ravaged the entire city, thunder booming like heavy artillery. Inside my private estate nestled halfway up the mountain, the lights blazed brilliantly, and the atmosphere was as warm as spring. Tonight was the proper 60th birthday gala I organized for Mom. Lingawan had leveraged the Ling family's elite connections, inviting every high-profile political and business titan the city had to offer, holding a glass of champagne. I stood beside my mother, who looked radiant in a bespoke dark red kippah, as we accepted the glowing tributes of the guests. For once my heart felt light and at peace. Suddenly, the old butler hurried to my side with a frantic pace, whispering urgently, "Young master, Soo-Keen is outside the main gates of the manor. She's been drenched in this torrential downpour, kneeling there for 3 whole hours. She says she won't leave until she sees you, even if it kills her." The smile on my face flickered and faded, replaced by a look of sheer cold annoyance. Lingwan, stunning in a scarlet high-fashion gown, walked over with a wine glass in hand, and naturally threaded her arm through mine. "What's wrong?" she asked softly. "Just a persistent stray dog shivering in the rain," I replied flatly. Lingwan's eyes shimmered with keen intelligence. She understood the situation instantly. She chuckled, handed her glass to a waiter, and pulled me toward the entrance. "Let's go. Let's see her, since it's your mother's birthday. I happen to have a monumental announcement for the entire city. We arrived at the manor's grand entrance. As the remote command was issued, the heavy ornate black and gold gates groaned slowly open. The storm hammered the asphalt with savage fury, kicking up clouds of freezing mist. Sukin was drenched to the bone, kneeling pathetically in a filthy puddle. The once arrogant, untouchable CEO of the Su Group now had matted hair plastered to her deathly pale face. Her designer clothes were caked in mud, and she was shaking like a leaf, looking exactly like a half-frozen beggar. At the sound of the gates opening, she snapped her head up, her bloodshot eyes flashing with a desperate, manic glimmer of hope. She scrambled forward on all fours, her hands death-gripping the freezing iron bars. Her voice was so hoarse it sounded shredded. Guyen, you finally came to see me. I truly understand my mistakes now. I've already had that bastard CSE arrested. I'll sell the company. I'll give you every last cent I have. Just please don't abandon me. I can't survive without you. I held a wide black umbrella, shielding Lingwan perfectly by my side. Ignoring the rainwater soaking into my own cuffs, I stared silently at the gate, at this woman groveling in the dirt. I felt zero compassion, only a profound visceral sense of disgust. Lingwan leaned closer into my chest, lifting her chin with regal pride. Her cold voice sliced through the rain like a blade. President Su, save your breath. Her lips curled into a lethally mocking smirk. Tonight isn't merely Auntie Gu's birthday gala. It is also the night Lingwan and Gu Yun officially get engaged. The Ling and Gu families are entering a total strategic union. Sukin's entire body froze in an instant. She lifted her head in utter despair, staring at the silhouette of Lingwan and me embracing under the umbrella, watching us stand there like a match made in heaven, exuding a flawless, peerless elegance. The final flicker of hope in her eyes, like a candle in a gale, was completely and utterly extinguished. It was as if her very bones and blood had been drained away, leaving her to collapse limply into the filthy, freezing mud. I swept a frigid glance over her. Staring at that face that looked worse than death, my voice carried no warmth, only a lethal chill. President Su, don't desecrate the grounds of my mother's celebration. With that, I pulled Lingwan close by the waist and turned away without a single shred of hesitation. Behind us, the heavy reinforced iron gates shut with a thunderous mechanical roar, completely sealing off Suchin's despairing wails of agony. Within the depths of the storm-ravaged night, the following morning, at the summit of the Yunbian Consortium's headquarters, I sat in my high-back leather executive chair, flipping through the final financial liquidation reports. My special assistant knocked and entered the room, respectfully handing over a police bulletin. President Gu, Xiesi has been apprehended. I didn't even bother to look up, simply replying with a flat tone. Caught him that fast. The assistant presented several crime scene photos with a smirk. The brat saw the Su family's empire crumbling, so he tried to flee to the airport overnight with a forged passport, attempting to embezzle the remaining 30 million in cash and escape across the border. In the photos, the once preened and pampered socialite Xiezi, who lived a life of luxury, was currently being pinned down by 2 SWAT officers against the freezing tiles of the airport terminal. He looked as pathetic as a cornered stray dog. The assistant continued his briefing. The idiot had no clue that you had already frozen every single one of his offshore accounts. The police tackled him right at the security checkpoint, caught red-handed with all the evidence. I closed the file with a satisfying snap, taking a slow sip of the black coffee on my desk. How long will he be rotting behind bars? I asked calmly. Given the scale of this high-level commercial fraud, embezzlement, occupational theft, and money laundering, the assistant replied with a respectful bow. The consortium's elite legal team has taken full control. The evidence is ironclad and mountainous. Even without a confession, a conviction is guaranteed. He won't be seeing the light of day for the rest of his life. After a brief pause, the assistant's tone turned to one of pure contempt. Word is, he actually wet himself in the interrogation room, groveling on the floor and smashing his head against the tiles, trying to pin every single crime on Suchin, claiming she was the mastermind behind the data theft. I set down my coffee cup, my gaze completely devoid of emotion, just a dog biting a dog. Tell the legal department to prosecute him to the fullest. I want him to rot in that cell until the end of time. The news of Ziezi's imprisonment became the final crushing blow for the Su family. In just 3 short days, the Su group officially declared bankruptcy and liquidation. Their remaining assets were forcibly seized by the court. Vicious debt collectors and furious suppliers smashed through the doors of the Su family estate, looting every valuable antique and painting in sight. Sukin's father couldn't handle the devastating fall from grace. He suffered a massive stroke and was rushed to the ER, though he barely managed to escape death. He was left completely paralyzed and bedridden, incapable of uttering a single coherent word. Desperate to scrape together funds to repay debts and cover the exorbitant ICU bills, Sukin was driven into a hopeless corner. She sold off every limited edition supercar, every piece of high-end jewelry, and eventually, even that luxury villa where she once kicked me out like trash. On this particular afternoon, I was accompanying Lingwan at a world-class bridal atelier to select her wedding gown. My phone vibrated. It was a call from my assistant, President Gu. Soo-Keen just liquidated every last asset she owned to scrape together 12 million, which she just wired into the consortium's public account. The memo notes it as personal compensation for you. The assistant briefed. She's still at the bank lobby right now, sobbing and begging our accountants to accept it, saying it's the only thing left she can do for you. I gazed into the mirror at Ling Wan draped in a pure white gown, radiating a beauty so breathtaking it felt otherworldly. Send it back, I commanded coldly. I've already rejected the transfer per your orders, sir. My assistant's voice carried a hint of grim satisfaction, and I made sure my men delivered a message to her as well. I told her that, 3 days ago, in your mother's name, you donated a staggering 300 million to the Red Cross. I made it clear to her that Mr. Gu has no use for her filthy meager scraps. That pocket change can't buy back the dignity she trampled for 3 years. A bit of static crackled on the other end of the line. Before the assistant added, my subordinates reported that Soo-Keen suffered a total mental breakdown upon hearing that. She was laughing and sobbing hysterically in the bank lobby, until security finally dragged her out into the street. I ended the call without a second thought. Ling Wan, lifting her diamond-encrusted trailing skirt, glided toward me with effortless grace, straightening the lapel of my tuxedo with a tender touch. Well, she asked softly. Feeling soft-hearted, I pulled her slender waist into my arms, leaning down to capture her lips in a deep, firm kiss. In my dictionary, I whispered against her skin for traitors. The word mercy simply does not exist. Now, it's time to exterminate the remaining rats hiding in the shadows. The Su family's thunderous collapse triggered a massive earthquake throughout the city's business world. Several old money conglomerates, coveting the market share the Sus left behind, actually attempted to form a desperate alliance to short sell the Yunbian Consortium's subsidiary industries. But they underestimated my ruthlessness, and they vastly underestimated Ling Wan's true power. As a lethal power couple, Ling Wan and I joined forces. While finalizing the details for our grand wedding, we simultaneously pulled back the curtain on a brutal corporate war. Ling Wan mobilized the massive capital of the financial circles to launch a comprehensive market strangulation, instantly severing the liquidity of those rival conglomerates. Meanwhile, I sat before a wall of monitoring screens, deploying the Aurora algorithm for a precise dimensional strike that paralyzed their entire trading system in an instant, in a mere 15 days. With the force of a crushing tidal wave, we completely uprooted every single competitor who had tried to fish in these troubled waters. Those legacy firms were forced into mandatory restructuring, and the Yunbian Consortium's market value tripled in record time, solidifying our absolute reign at the pinnacle of the nation's business empire, where no one dared to challenge our dominance. 2 weeks later, the sun was shining brilliantly. I sat comfortably in the backseat of the Rolls-Royce as the motorcade glided smoothly along the main boulevard toward the Civil Affairs Bureau. Today was the auspicious date Ling Wan had meticulously chosen, the day we would officially register our marriage. Outside the window, the city's glittering skyline blurred past, approaching a massive pedestrian bridge spanning the highway. Just beyond that bridge lay the entrance to our destination. The motorcade maintained its pace entering the shadow of the overpass. Leaning back against the premium leather, I remained focused on an acquisition proposal in my lap, never once bothering to look up. Naturally, I didn't witness the scene unfolding just outside the guardrails of the bridge above. There, teetering precariously on the edge, stood a skeletal, gaunt woman. It was Soo-Keen. Her hair was as dry and yellow as dead weeds. Her face so haggard she looked to have aged a decade. With sunken eyes and a hollow gaze, not a single trace remained of the arrogant female CEO she once was. Her withered, bony fingers clutched a crumpled, faded old photograph. It was a picture from 3 years ago, a forced wedding photo taken on the day of our marriage. In the image, her face was twisted with undisguised disgust, while my eyes were filled with silent endurance. The cold wind howled around her. Soo-Keen peered down at the black motorcade roaring toward the bridge, instantly recognizing the signature. Rolls-Royce with its prestigious gold detailing. She closed her eyes in utter despair, letting her tears stream down her hollow cheeks. Her body lurched forward violently, attempting a tragic final plunge to the pavement below, hoping to trade her life for a single drop of my pity. Guyen, I'm sorry. Her sharp whisper was instantly devoured by the gale. The Rolls-Royce's powerful engine let out a low predatory growl. The motorcade didn't falter for even a fraction of a second, surging forward like a cold bolt of black lightning, tearing straight through the shadows under the bridge. In the next heartbeat, the screech of desperate brakes and the horrified screams of onlookers exploded across the bridge above. Piercing sirens quickly wailed from far behind, but I didn't even bother to glance back. Moments later, the security detail trailing behind sent a text President Gu. Soo-Keen attempted to leap from the bridge. A bystander managed to haul her back by force. She survived, but her mind has completely snapped. She's been admitted to a psychiatric facility. I glanced at the screen, then indifferently darkened my phone. I fixed my gaze solely on the road ahead, to the man I am now. Whether Suchin lives or rots no longer matters. 2 weeks later, an obscure piece of local news flickered briefly in a forgotten corner. Jetsi had contracted a terminal illness in prison. His body, long since ravaged by debauchery, was utterly incapable of enduring the agony. Wailing and weeping, he begged the guards, desperate to contact anyone outside for cash, to apply for medical parole. Only then did he learn that Suchin was totally insane, and the Su family didn't have a single soul left to help. Tortured by hopeless despair and physical pain, Jetsa could only lie on a frigid iron cot, awaiting the Grim Reaper's inevitable arrival. 6 months passed. On the massive circular LED screen at Center Plaza, a live broadcast was being streamed to the entire world. The shocking wedding of the century. A fleet of dozens of helicopters showered the night sky with a blizzard of rose petals. Every landmark building in the city simultaneously lit up with the names Lingwan and Guyan. Magnificent fireworks erupted in unison, turning the midnight sky as bright as high noon. Beside a trash bin in a dark corner of the plaza, a woman dressed in tattered rags, her mind clearly shattered and gone, was rummaging for a moldy half-eaten bun. It was Suchin. The deafening roar of the celebratory cannon startled her. She flinched and cowered, slowly lifting her head. Her dull, clouded eyes peered through the swarming crowds, landing vacantly on the colossal screen, towering high above her head. On that screen, I was dressed in a sleek, masterfully tailored tuxedo, clasping the hand of Lingwan, who looked divine in her sacred gown, as we exchanged rings amidst a thunderous standing ovation. The camera panned across the prestigious head table, capturing my mother in an elegant, deep crimson custom qipao. Her complexion was glowing with health, and her spirit was more vibrant than ever, radiating joy as she accepted the endless stream of congratulations from the financial world's most powerful titans. Suchin stared fixedly at the screen, at the man shining like a literal emperor, surrounded and revered by an ocean of elite followers. She abruptly hurled the moldy bun from her hand, as tears carved jagged paths through the filth on her face. She began sprinting through the streets like a complete lunatic, clawing desperately toward the digital screen with trembling hands, screaming in a garbled, hysterical wail, "That's my husband. That's my Guyan. He used to cook for me every single day. He loved me more than anything. Give him back to me." Pedestrians recoiled in disgust, clearing a path for her, pointing and whispering as she spiraled. Within minutes, 2 patrolling security guards intercepted her, dragging her away like a discarded bag of trash. They forcibly hauled the incoherent, shattered shell of a woman into the depths of a dark, forgotten alleyway. Back at the gala, the lights were blindingly brilliant. Lingwan adjusted the diamond bow tie at my neck, her clear, shimmering eyes reflecting only my image. "What were you looking at so intensely just now?" I withdrew my gaze from the distance, interlocking my fingers with hers and offering a faint smile. "Nothing. I just realized the breeze feels exceptionally warm today." I looked out at the sea of awestruck faces below the stage, finally and completely severing the ties to that wretched past. From this moment onward, at the peak of the business world, there is only our empire mine and Lingwan's.